So if you come across something within yourself that you're realizing now is a limiting belief system, but you didn't know about it 10 minutes ago, don't beat yourself up about it. Like there's no point in it's just a waste of energy, a waste of time. And when you understand, cool, this is a point that I've just figured out, I can rewire that. I can put in a whole new wiring. Hi there. Welcome to this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. This is Vicky, obviously. I appreciate you being here and hope you're doing well and are enjoying the year as it's unfolding and maybe making some goals and understanding yourself a little bit more and appreciating your humanness. This episode is going to be about the West. I don't know if it's the wild, wild West, but we could consider it that. And in the compass model that I use, the West is about your wiring. I love alliteration. It helps my brain learn. It helps me to understand and remember the process because it's ever evolving. Coaching happens like that. And that's why I love it so much because it doesn't stay stagnant. It allows for the growth and for as my knowledge increases, I get to help you increase your knowledge. And this compass process is a way to create a system, but it's flexible, right? I'm not going to tell you how you are in your West. I am going to tell you what the West is about. And I am going to suggest that anytime in your life where you're feeling a bit stagnant or disconnected, that you pause, take a breath, and decide which direction would be in your best interest to head. So the West for me, again, is about wiring. It's about from whence we've come. It's about our past lives, but most especially about your past in your physical sense. So it's about reflection. It's about understanding what are your personal strengths? What makes you you, my dear? What makes you special? What makes you unique? What is it about you that is the only one? And also, what is it about you that may be supporting patterns that aren't serving any longer and you want to release them? So it involves being aware of your personality traits, your learning styles. How do you learn? I recently started volunteering and I loved that Mary had asked me, she's the one training me and also one of my favorite nieces, how do I learn? How do I learn the best? Because that's often one of the first questions I'll ask a new client so that I can tailor my help to how they're wired rather than feeling like everybody has to come to my wiring. So I need repetition. I need to do them over and over and over again. I need to hear them over and over and over again. And most times I'm very experiential. I need to get my hands in there. Just showing me does not work. There's too many movies going on in this head. And showing me likely means I'm not focusing on the one movie screen you need me to focus on. So once my hands get involved, once my body gets involved, it gets in there. So the West is a place that can help you when you know your learning style, can help to reinforce it, can help to build stronger relationships because you understand your own wiring, and that makes you more compassionate towards other people's. Hopefully. I mean, you do have to practice that. It's not something that just shows up because you know your wiring. And I loved when this dropped in for me that the West was about wiring because the conscious circuitry work that I do is about moving those neural pathways and about helping us understand that, yes, we are obviously influenced by our childhood, by what we've witnessed in society and by our experiences, but it doesn't have to stay in a way that you've felt it or you've experienced it before. we can change our neural pathways at any point in our life. And conscious circuitry does that because we center in on what the issue is. We connect the dots, you clear out the old wiring, because if you're going to upgrade, why keep that old wiring around? Just clean it out. And then you create new wiring. So understanding when you're in a situation, maybe you're reacting to some good indication that your wiring is short circuiting and that maybe you could use an upgrade and an understanding of where you've been. So the West is about reflecting, it's about learning, it's about the historical aspect of you, including your genes, including the family trauma and history and generational trauma. It is a bit about being analytical, and I love that about the West, because I feel like if you blend intuition and analytical and systems, you just have every aspect covered, and then you feel more sure of yourself. It is about introspection, being contemplative, and it's about being wise. So it takes into consideration that connection with the North, which is your soul, right? The South, which is your whole human self. And the West, it is the connector. You get to be wise in the connection with your soul's knowing and your human experience doing and being. And it's just a magic connection. So when we give ourselves permission to learn about who we are without judgment and just to take into consideration this is how it is, like I can honestly say a few years ago, had Mary asked me that, I would have had a bravado about me because there's so much in my previous wiring that I had to know what to do. I had to be the one to make the decisions. I had to go and I had to pretend that I knew what I was doing even when I didn't, because the idea of admitting that I didn't know something in my past would have led to difficulty in my relationships. And sometimes it would have led to me not taking some chances that I really benefited from later on. But now I can say, I don't know how to do this, because it's also safer if you're going to be working around, 1,000-pound animals. You better admit you don't know what you're doing, or you're going to be on the underside of that animal. And this is something that we've joked about we are going to avoid with Vicky. So understanding my wiring and how I learn is a self-love practice that I've come to, and that I now get really excited that I don't know, because I feel like that's more I can learn and more I can experience in this lifetime. And the more my human self is going to just love being here, and my soul self is going to expand. So I can maybe, you know, check off a few lifetimes that I won't need to come around, because I can appreciate that I don't know everything and that it's fun to learn from other people. And it's fun to have them be in that place of knowing and share it too. So I believe this understanding your wiring and appreciating your wiring leads to a positive self image, and it reinforces self love, because you begin to see that you can't possibly know everything, and that it's not okay or even fun to pretend that you do, and how boring would it be anyway. But it's also about releasing limiting belief systems. So I had a limiting belief system that if I didn't do it or I didn't know it, things wouldn't get done. And I learned that in my childhood. I learned that in my marriage, very much so in my marriage. And in running your own business, it gets reinforced, because you do have to be the one to do things until you align with someone amazing like Enrique, and you can say, I trust you. I appreciate that you're here. So everybody, round of applause for Enrique. Enrique, pat yourself on the back right here. Stop editing. Pat yourself on the back, because your wiring is something I really appreciate about you. So this whole experience we are on is a transformative journey. We are always transforming and transmuting energy. So the more comfortable you get with that and the more with the flow you can be, the more fun it is. When we're working in the West, we're often releasing the limiting belief systems because limiting belief systems are pure BS. There's no reason for them to be there. It's something you believed at some point. But if you believe that and it's limiting, you can certainly believe something about yourself that's supportive. And when I work with the conscious circuitry, when I'm working with someone, intuitively I'm feeling into what's the actual limiting belief. Because often people will say, I don't trust myself or I'm not smart enough, all of those. And I'll feel into it and be, actually, this feels more like someone told you you weren't smart enough, or this experience you had when you were 12, 13, and we go right to the source and shift that and have that show up in a different way. I actually had a conversation this morning via text with another favorite niece about her kiddo who was having some challenges. And when I tapped in, I was like, oh, did he have an experience about 2.5 months ago? He's got some cords to that and it's keeping him from moving up that next level in the sport that he loves. And I can take care of those chords, but you're going to have to work on his wiring with him, or I can do a session with him or have a conversation with Auntie Vicky about what's going on with him. Oh, he's so smart. But the limiting belief release is very much a West compass point. And when you can identify that you have that, you can then release it. We can't do anything we don't know about. So if you come across something within yourself that you're realizing now is a limiting belief system, but you didn't know about it 10 minutes ago, don't beat yourself up about it. Like there's no point in it's just a waste of energy, a waste of time. And when you understand, cool, this is a point that I've just figured out, I can rewire that. I can put in a whole new wiring. Like when we first bought our house, my late husband and I, it had two wiring and it had half and half actually. It was almost scary. It has some circuit breakers and it had some old tube wiring. And when we switched over, I just wanted to pull all that out. And he's like, leave it. And I'm like, no, we've rewired. Let's bring it to a nice, clean. And so that the whole system, even though you've cut the wires, you kind of want them to dissipate too. You want it to go away. So the idea that we can emphasize the potential in ourselves by giving ourselves new wiring is very much in the West. And can you see how it's beneficial to have a direction to go to so that you're not just bouncing all over the place and not aware of what GPS coordinates to be using? It is a highly intuitive connection. Again, intuition mostly coming from that soul, but our bodies are very intuitive, and tapping into and connecting your wiring to your intuition is integral. It just has to happen. And it makes life a lot easier because when you release those limiting beliefs that no longer serve in a way you may not have been aware they were serving, it can create an opening for more of your intuition to drop in because basically the BS isn't showing up anymore. And then that will reinforce self-reflection because you get excited. Like when I bumped into something a couple weeks ago, Mike and I had a little, and I knew that I was caught up on something other than the conversation we were having. And I said that to him. I said, this feels very old to me. It feels like an old pattern. I'm going to take some time. I left for a few hours. I'm going to tap into and really take some Western contemplation on this to see what it is. And when I came back, I apologized for an outburst, not for what I said in the outburst, because I meant it. but how I delivered it. And then I said, this is what I learned about myself. This wiring is ready to let go. And I was resisting letting it go. And you were right. And I hope you can see that this is a process that's going to take me a little bit to shift. So that ability to self reflect shifted things within, I'm going to say 12 hours, because there definitely was no conversation. Okay, going to bed, not thrilled with my partner. And I'm okay that he could go to bed, not thrilled with me. It's fine. I don't like to leave the house with that, because you just never know if you're coming home. And I think it's important to have at least clarifying conversation so that there's no regret. This is the West is about patience and compassion. It's about taking that South understanding of being human, and that it's going to take time to, well, work through some resistance and shift your way of thinking. A regular check-in, again, where am I? North, south, east, west. It allows you to assess your own progress, to pat yourself on the back, to be proud of yourself. You're not going to get such a fat head that you won't fit through the door, but really appreciating that you have wiring and you have history, and that you didn't just poof to the place you are now. And some self-love goes a long way. How can you do this? Well, I love journaling. You've heard me say before, if you listen to past episodes, that it wasn't something that was easy for me. I picked it up so many times and put it back down again. But once I realized I'm not going to judge myself for anything that comes out, because it needs to come out. Better out than in, right? A bit like vomit. Better out than in. You'll feel better. So self-reflecting, doing some journaling, writing in any way. I don't care if it's on an online forum, like a notepad, the back of an envelope, or a special journal that you sit down with and you collect your thoughts. You write about your core beliefs, patterns that you're observing in your life. I have a package on the website to help you get started journaling if you'd like. $27, great investment. And you could write down and practice some rewiring statements, help you to shift I am unworthy to I am inherently worthy of self-love and respect. It's a process that none of this is going to change overnight. There can be some relief from doing conscious circuitry or other pathway work, but nothing is overnight, and we need to start appreciating the journey too. Another thing you can do, I love this process, and I think of it as like a timeline visualization. I think sometimes when I get stuck, I think, what would my future self like to experience? How would my future self like to look at this? It's a bit like when I croak, I know there's a movie I'm going to be watching. I know this for sure. And I want to watch that movie with a feeling of, you did a good job, Vic. You did a good job. You put your heart in it. You showed up in the best that you could in any moment once you became aware that this was a thing. I like to do that in my conscious mind. I don't want to wait till I croak. I want to have the best experience that I can have here. So I will look at, what will my future self think about this? I have a sibling who has talked, she thinks it's a compliment, but it's not, about how I just love working out. I love doing all this. Well, it's true. I do love some aspects of it. I love how I feel after. I love that I just went to the doctor the other day and she's like, "Holy crap, are you strong?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, I am." But I didn't get there overnight. I had to really convince myself, and still do sometimes, that this workout is for my future self. I'm showing up in this moment right now for my future self. And I take this into a literal practice. If I know I'm going to be in the car for a few hours, my back doesn't like it. It does not like sitting. I have a kneeling chair in my office, or I stand. Very little time is spent on my butt, because my L4 and my L5 don't like it, and that causes other problems. So if I know I'm going to be in the car and traveling, for instance, I will up my yoga game. and I will up my stretching and my world's best exercises because my back will thank me for that. And it's my future self that I'm supporting. So, timeline visualization is a way to reflect. I know in the past when I haven't done this, I'm uncomfortable for days. So I reflect on that. I know that. So I make a commitment to my future self using the whole timeline. I'm not one stagnant place, neither are you. So recognizing, yes, that's what I've experienced before, but this is what I want to experience. I need to change that wiring up. So while there may be aspects of working out that I do love, it's mostly about how I feel in future things that I don't even know about. We went for a hike a couple weeks ago, and hiking last season was still really difficult for me. This one, poof, I motored through, and at some points I had to remind myself to slow down because it was amazing to be out there in a body that wasn't hurting in some way. I hurt a little bit the next day, but it's a good hurt. And for those that take on these physical challenges, there you understand what I mean by a good hurt. So self-reflective work, mirror work is a good thing to do when you're brushing your teeth. Say a couple kind words to yourself when you're in there washing your hands after you use lube. Notice something about yourself that you really like, oh, your hair looks cute today, or wow, I really appreciate that you're drinking the water because your skin is looking amazing. Way to go with the email response that you did today. Capture yourself in these moments of succeeding, and that will reinforce the wire too. But being able to make that eye contact is powerful. And yeah, some days you're gonna go, nope, not doing it, Vic. Thank you very much for that suggestion, but it's not happening. Great. Tell yourself you'll see them later. I'll see you later. I will return to this. It's just not in this moment. You could take an Enneagram test, Myers-Briggs, understand your unique wiring. Don't take it as an all or nothing, but again, more information about your wiring, about how you navigate the world, and help you to understand where your top values are. You could develop a self-care routine that aligns with your unique wiring and needs. I have to ground. If I don't ground, I have a grounding mat on my computer desk. I take a walk every day because that contact with the earth. If I'm going out to check the garden, I don't put shoes on. If I'm going out to check the mail, I don't put shoes on. I get my feet in the grass and feel the earth beneath me so that I can do all of the intuitive work that I need to do with my clients and with myself and connection with spirit and the animals and everything. That's part of my self-care routine. So what's part of your self-care routine? What is there? If there's nothing there yet, that's where you start. You start with one thing on that self-care routine and you build the wiring for that and then you build on that. Don't try to do it all at once. And if you're still having challenges understanding your wiring or you just want a little bit of clarity, I love that one of my clients said that when she works with me, she thinks clearer because that's the goal for you to be clear about what matters to you, not for you to turn over your power to me, but for you to feel clear and understanding and loving and knowing who you are so that you can experience your best lifetime and then you can build on that in subsequent lifetimes. So, with the West wiring, with the West, understanding your wiring, and then they're all going to connect. The next episode, well, after this is the business one because it's the last episode of the month. But then when I follow up with the East, you'll see how all of this ties together and how you begin to put this into action. I hope this works for you. Please send messages, contact me, let me know if you're enjoying this concept. I am putting onto my calendar some lives so that we can get on and talk about this. And I can give you some in real feedback coaching. Won't be intuitive readings, but you can bet that there'll be some intuition in there because sometimes I just can't stop myself. And so those will be announced on social media and in the newsletter. You can head to vickybaird.com where things get announced before they go to social media. And I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. I appreciate you being here. If you would like more information about developing your intuitive skills, removing those blocks, and creating the life that feels the most successful to you, then head on over to vickybaird.com. That's VICKIBAIRD.com. And check out the courses, the groups, and the Spaces app that will allow you to be part of our community and know about upcoming events and specials. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.